Even if you cannot stay, I think you are the one.
Greetings and welcome to the Hello Show with Kimberly My Voice. I am so glad that you tuned in with us tonight. We have a great show for you. I have a question. Do you need to be healed? And a lot of times when we think about healing, we think about like physical, mental, emotional. It's so many different healings. And on tonight, we're going to talk about that, getting to the root of your healing. So, like I always ask you, if you're looking, please like, and I want you to share. If you know someone that needs to be in this conversation, because here on the Hello Show, we are not afraid to face our fears, our insecurities, situations in our lives, because we know if we don't say hello to it, how in the world can we change it? And we're all about change on the Hello Show. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you ask someone to join the conversation, and please share the video as we're going. If you want to call in, I have my call-in number. It should be on flyers on Facebook, and the number is 708-223-8953. Please call in and ask some questions tonight. I'm so excited because this is always something that I want to get for myself. So make sure that you're ready to get your healing that you need. Tonight, guest I have with me is another Facebook friend. I guess, you all, I'm watching you. That's all I can say. I'm watching you. I'm seeing the great things that you're doing. And this young lady is always on there giving videos, giving life, telling people how they can be healed from situations. So on tonight, we're going to hear a little bit about her, about the organization she has, about some up and coming events, and most of all, how you can get healed. Introduce yourself to us.
Hey, everybody. My name is Angela Hampton. I'm the founder of the Angela brand on Instagram and on Facebook. And basically, the Angela brand focuses on the mental wellness of women, especially women of color in our community, because there's been a stigma on, getting healed and going to see a therapist and things like that. And I see, just from being friends with other women, that we hold on to so much stuff because, it's been just ingrained in us that we got to push it to the back and keep going. So my goal, that started last year is to assist by, just being open and vulnerable myself, and helping in hopes of helping somebody else see like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yes. All right. So we have the Angela brand. Is that it? The Angela brand. All right. So my question to everyone on the flyer was, do you want to be healed? And we were going to get to the root of the situation. So I'm going to start by asking, like, what is healing? And how do you identify that you need to be healed? Because evidently, if I'm walking around with a big hickey and knot on my head, or I have a cut and I'm bleeding, somebody be like, girl, you need to get to a doctor.
Right.
Or if someone sees you fall and hurt yourself,
right,
they come and assist you, and it's obvious you need help.
Right.
But if I'm walking around functioning, I don't have any external bleeding, external physical physical confirmation that I'm hurting, how do I identify that I need to be healed?
I think it's a couple ways to identify that you need to be healed. One, especially when it comes to like past relationships, when it comes to like men of the opposite sex. And I just had this conversation today. So one of the things is I don't know if you've ever broke up with somebody and they just really hurt you, or, they left without closure. And then you get over it. Time passes and, they say, oh, time will heal. And then that person, pops up somewhere, or you hear somebody talk about them saying, I saw such and such with this new person. And if your insides, if there's any turmoil, if you feel any type of way, you have not been healed, you've suppressed. And there's a difference between suppressing and healing, because in healing, you have to go through those motions. A lot of times we put the emotions in a place where I still got to get up and go to work. I still got to function. My kids still need me. So I don't got time to cry. I don't have time to ball up in a corner and be there. So I'll suppress it. I'll put it, back in the back of my mind. I've put everything else, and I'll keep moving, and I'll pretend, we put on this whole, I'm okay. How you doing? I'm okay. What does that mean? But, somebody, anytime your spirit is not at rest. Anytime you see something and you aren't at a place where you can say, oh, congratulations, or you're not at a place where you can say, you know what, I wish them the best. You need to be healed from that. There's something that's missing that you didn't get. And a lot of times it's because nobody taught us.
Exactly.
We know how to suppress, because they teach us how to suppress. You see your mama and your aunties and your grandma suppressing. A lot of times in our community, we grew up in single parent households.
Yes.
So we saw suppression. You know how to keep moving. You know how to, I still got to go to the grocery store. But nobody taught us, hey, it's okay to deal with this. It's okay to go through this pain. Like, sadness doesn't last forever, but you have to feel it, because when you go through it, it gives you something more. It teaches you that, okay, I'm stronger than what this is. Otherwise, you hold it in and it
explode. So we're going to get more into what healing and the process and the advice that you give. But I want to back up a little bit. You sound so passionate about this. You really do. You sound so passionate about it. And I know usually when we have a call to a situation or organization or ministry, I would say, it was because of something we've been through.
Right.
So can you share a little bit why all of this passion and why you feel like you want to help people?
Yes.
And
Definitely.
how your life is actually that olive branch to help.
Okay, so in 2015, 2016, I had 4 relatives die. And for me, so like February 2015, my aunt passed. November, my uncle passed. February of the next year, my mom passed. 2 months later, my grandma passed.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, boom, boom, boom. I think I became a funeral director. Like,
oh, wow.
I was like, oh, I'm an expert at creating these obituaries, I see. But when my mom died, I suppressed everything. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. Anybody who knows me, and I tried, I had to get to a point in my own life to tell people this. Nobody knew. Nobody. I didn't post it on Facebook. I went about as usual. I still went to work. Even my director was like, when I finally said, hey, I need to take this day off, half a day, not a whole day.
Oh, wow.
I went to her. I was like, hey, I got to leave at 12. She literally was waiting for me to take off. Like, I was at work, still working, still planning the funeral, still going to look for the clothes and obituaries. Nobody knew. So everybody who found out that was not related to me, it was like my cousin or my sister's page. But then it got to a point where I realized, okay, I think later in 2017, 2018, like emotions, like it's when you suppress, you may feel good in one area, but those emotions show up in other areas. So like when you randomly angry at somebody, everybody get angry, but when you randomly angry, you have to sit back and ask yourself, why was I, what caused that?
Right.
Those things come up in different ways. So it was like, I have to, and then it was like everybody was around me was going through other stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll have this event called Pour, P-O-U-R. And I had it at my church. It was like a bunch of church ladies. It turned out way better than I thought, because I'm like, I need healing. I didn't want to be the focus. I'm like, God, take me out the center. I don't want to be the focus. I want this event to be for others. And literally, but before the event happened, I was like, okay, how do I let people know this event is happening? So I was like, I'll start going live, and my focus is going to be healing. And it's so weird with me. There's times when God like literally drops a word into my spirit, and I'm somebody, because I'm still working on me.
Right.
I'm somebody who I really don't like the spotlight. I don't want to feel like it's about me. Because I get in my mind, oh my gosh, what they gonna say? So it's been times God said, hey, go live. And I'd be like, that one Jesus. And it'd be like, I need to, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with like hearing his voice and knowing that it's him.
Right.
Because it's not for me. And I know it's not for me, because I've gotten messages like, girl, I needed that. Or I've been watching you for such and such, and I didn't even know anybody was going through something. So it's just like in those moments, it's like, okay, this isn't me. This literally is God working through me. I've gotten on live before, and I cannot remember what I've said, because if I pray first and I say, God, take over, and he take over, and I'd be like, man, what I just say? Like, right. I got to go back and, look at the comments, like what I was saying, like, because, that's how it is. And, it's not me.
Right. So how did you said that you went through a lot of deaths in your family, and also when you were at work, you were just buried in your everyday life. And so that's what you call suppression,
I
what
was
you were speaking
suppressing.
about. But how did you really realize? And I'm saying this because I always want to bring my audience in,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of us are functioning every day. We have been through traumatic things in our lives
Mm-hmm.
but because of our culture, and because it's so normal for someone to get killed,
Right.
for you to have domestic violence, like
Right.
all this have become our norm, that we're functioning every day. And that's the thing that you're calling suppression. So I want you to kind of describe, so we could bring someone else out. How did you finally say something is wrong, or I need to address what I'm doing? And I think that's one of the hardest things, because a
It
lot of people
is.
right now that's watching, we're just functioning,
Yeah.
and we're not like, oh, I don't have time to think about that. I don't have the time to deal with that, just like you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So just if you could kind of narrow into, how do you believe
Mm-hmm.
that you had enough time to stop and realize something is wrong, even for you to even start addressing it?
I think one of those things is when you find yourself ready to burst. I don't know if you've ever had this. It's like a feeling I can't really describe,
Mm-hmm.
that you've like, you could be driving and you just feel this feeling like, I want to scream and cry all at the same time.
Yes.
I've had those moments. And also when you realize I'm shutting out the people who were sent to help me.
Okay.
So it's like, this person is knocking, trying to get in. This person is knocking, trying to get in. And they're not doing anything wrong, but you're shutting them out and you cutting them off. And at some point, if you are honest with yourself, because healing, in order for you to heal, you first have to be honest with yourself.
Right.
You can't say, oh, I need to heal just from everything. You have to be honest and be like, okay, this specific thing is the reason why I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have that honesty and say, you know what? I am going through something. That relationship did break me. That death that person being taken away from me did do something. So when you sit back and you realize, over the last year, over the last 6 months, over the last 10 years, everybody who has come to me has been asking me, how am I doing? They've literally offered themselves to help me, and I've pushed them away. Because
Okay.
you can't come to that if you aren't honest with yourself. And a lot of times, because we've suppressed it so good, it's kind of like calling out an alcoholic. That first step is the hardest for them, because they not
Come
honest
to
with them.
terms
Right.
and
You
be
got to
honest
come to
enough.
terms
Yes.
with the fact that, you know what, this is an issue.
Right. Okay. So once we come to terms, once we finally really benchmark that moment of, I cannot take this, or I need help, what is healing? Like, what do I look forward to, or how do I define healing? Is it just, I'm gonna take a couple of days off? Because that's what we do. I'll take a day off, just have a
Right.
mental day. Or
Right.
I'm gonna go out with my friends. I'm gonna go to the spa.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things are good. But I think that is really where we reach to. We reach
Mm-hmm.
to those. I'm gonna take a day off. I'm gonna go to the movies. I'm gonna go to the spa. I'm just gonna Netflix myself for a while. What is true healing?
I think one of the first things you do is, once you are honest with yourself, you have to be honest with God. God knows, but a lot of times we say, oh my gosh, God hasn't done this. And it's like, God heard you. God knew what you needed, but He's been waiting on you to get to this point, because He doesn't force us. We still have free will. So you got to be honest with God. God, I need you. So a lot of times, and I think I just said this recently, I go to church and a lot of times I'm distracted.
Okay.
But you have to go to God in your own space. If you gotta wake up at 3 a.m., if He calls you at 3 a.m. to say, get up, I need to talk to you. Like, that's what you need to do. You need to get up. You have to go to Him and, God, I need you. Send me somebody who can help. Show me the way. You got to get in that word, because you have to learn the word for yourself in order for you to hear Him. Because a lot of times we ask Him for things and He gives them to us. But if we not in His word, if we not in His will, we won't hear it because of the distractions.
Yes.
So be honest in that. Go to God. And it's going to hurt. So a lot of times people think that, okay, it's been years, I'm finally here. And like you said, I'll take a day off. I'll do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do it. And it's going to be like this short period of time, because we make up these things in our mind. And I've learned from just my own life and my own experience that God do things in His own way. So
Mm-hmm.
you be like, God, get me out of this. And you think he just gonna crack that door and you just got to pull it open. And God be like, he be out here showing you that it's him. Like, it's nowhere in the world I could have tore this mountain down by myself. Like, it had to be him. There's literally been moments where, it's been like, I couldn't have done that. There's no way I could have done that. Just in my life and everything that I've had up to this point thus far, there's no way I could have done it without him
Right.
being ahead of me.
So I'm still trying to get
Uh-huh.
what does healing look like? Like, I know it's me going to God, but I guess maybe I should ask the question about getting to the root. Like, what would I feel, or what would I see, or what process would kind of come in line with healing if I know I'm on a track? So I asked God, I like that. Like, God, okay, I understand something is wrong with me. I understand that I'm hurt and I've been suppressing things and I've just been going on with life. I need help. Send someone from your experience, and especially since you teach on healing, and I know we're going to talk about your event. What are some of those steps of getting to the root, or how do I actually get that process? I'm trying to get something very tangible,
Right.
because a lot of times, we say stuff, we're going just, but from what I've seen and what I know, that sometimes you could trace some things. It might be like things start coming up, or you have to journal, or you have to really address this, or have to apologize. Like, how are some of those things that you've experienced where people can know and identify, I am on
It
a
just
healing
came to
track.
me. I
I
had
am
to
on
hear
the
this
healing
question
track.
and,
Okay,
sometimes
that's okay.
sometimes it take a couple times. But
It's okay.
I created journals.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, I created so many journals for people too, because you do have to sometimes, and it's different for everybody.
Exactly.
Because I write, but certain people might sing.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to forgive. That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's really hard. That process is, once you're honest, you have to forgive, especially when somebody has hurt you, because a lot of times we want to see that person receive the same thing that they gave us.
Right.
So you have to get to a place where you are strong enough to forgive.
Okay.
You have to find your strength. You have to release. How can I put more water in this bottle if you have not allowed any space for me to do so?
Exactly.
So if you're holding on to years of pain, you have to let that pain go. You have to release that pain. So if it's journaling, if it's, getting to a place where your health, a lot of times we suppress, and you have people who are eating their pain away.
Yeah, that's me. I'll say that. I just eat. It comforts me. I said I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. Like, food, that's good for me.
And so it might be a place of, I need to be honest and I need to get healthy because I've been eating this pain.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need to, step out on purpose. I need to remove the fear. A lot of times fear blocks us from healing, because who wants to be hurt? Because like I'm going to repeat it, like it's going to hurt. It literally, you're going to hurt. All those emotions that you run from is because that fear of, this is going to hurt so much. I don't want to hurt. Nobody wants to hurt. So it's just like a combination of all of those things, and everybody is different. So I might say, I need to get up in the morning and I just need some me time at 5 a.m. with Jesus.
Right.
And somebody else might be like, you know what? I listen to worship music on the way to church, on the way to work in the morning. It sets my mind right. Being in a place, sometimes it's changing your attitude. Because, to be 100% honest, if anybody knows me, but I've changed because, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not who I used to be last month, but 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, sis was holding on to some anger from other stuff that I realized was emerging from my past. So coming from a past of just drugs and in and around, the house and the family, just drugs everywhere, and realizing that I was holding on to that anger because I was angry, but I wasn't angry at the people who were around me. I wasn't angry at this person. My anger was coming from a place of, I suppressed what happens to me or around me that I saw at 10, 11, and 12. And here it is, I'm at, 30, 31, 32, and I'm cursing this person out. and I'm mad at this person. And when I look back now, because I used to work in several hospitals, but one hospital I worked in for almost 10 years, I realized I don't understand how I made it past 30 days. I was so mean. And I worked in maternity. Can you imagine being mean to a pregnant person?
Oh no.
Terrible. But
Yes.
it's just like I had to come to a place was like those people did nothing to me. Like my anger isn't for them. It's not even for anybody. So I needed to go back, go back to that roots. Why was I angry? So just in that, and everybody doesn't have, there are some people who have some good childhoods and their pain could come from a divorce that happened 2 years ago.
Right.
And they still mad at, that person or the person who came in and interrupted their marriage. And now they're yelling at their kids. So now you have to step back and be honest with yourself, and you got to let that hurt go. In order for you to let that hurt go, you have to say, you know what? I'm stronger than this. I will overcome this. Whatever I go through in this, I'm going to come out way better. And it's for a purpose. All of our pain is for a purpose. There's no purposeless pain.
All of our pain is for a purpose. So, you guys out there, I want you're chiming in. I know you came here saying, like, how do I get healing? I need you to start putting up some things that you are trying to get healed from. If it's that divorce, if it's from a broken heart or relationship, it's from your child, from a job, your parents. Just start putting some up there so we can address some of those issues to see if we can get to the root of it. So we're going to take a little break. We're going to talk about our sponsors and how you can be a sponsor too of the Hello Show. And when we come back, we're going to get right into how do you get to the root. Hopefully some people will call in. Our number is 708-223-8953. If you want to make a comment or you have a question, please chime in and put up those posts. I see you out there. Please put up your posts on things that you believe that you need to be healed from. All right. Thank you for coming. All right, so we're going to take a little commercial break. Tonight, we are sponsored by You Gotta See It to Believe It. I am wearing my bling. I really love this because, sometimes I'm always blinging, but this is such a nice bling. But it is also $5. So if you're interested in some lead-free, nickel-free bling, make sure that you check out www. You Gotta See It to Believe It. She's actually having a live show tonight at 8:30. She's giving away some gifts, so make sure you tune in that you may get your bling as well. Also, if you want to be a sponsor of the Hello Show, or if you have some great events coming up and you want to come on and talk about it and engage your audience, please email me at KimberlyMyVoice@gmail.com. Because just as you're listening, your audience, your client, your customer is listening as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hello Show on IntellectualRadio.com, where we feed your brain and we say hello to our fears. Getting back to our topic, healing. I keep saying, I hear one person say divorce out there. Thank you, Judy. Divorce. Anyone else? Just name some of those things. And if you just tuned in, one thing that we have discovered, that a lot of times we go through things, but we suppress them. Things that happen in our childhood, things that happen to us as a teenager, stuff that we had to just dust ourselves up and get back to it. And it shows up. Like my guest was saying, you find yourself screaming at your kids. You find yourself being unfriendly and unruly at work. And people are wondering what's wrong. And you might not even identify what's wrong. But a lot of times what's wrong is that we have not dealt with issues. Mm-hmm. We have not dealt with issues. So before we talk about dealing with issues, tell us a little bit about the event. And that probably get us into a little more conversation. Your event that you have coming up.
Okay, so my event is called Released. It's a healing brunch. It's on Saturday, March 9th. Tickets are still on sale. This event is literally like the secondary to Pour. So Pour was very small. It kind of gave me an idea of what is it that, God needed me to do. So in this event, it was actually scheduled for the end of the year. Then whatever happened. So I was like, but I canceled it. And then God was like, no, you need to do this. So the event, it's literally for, once again, I'm removing myself from the event. It's for those who do need healing, but don't know where to start.
Okay.
So like you asked, where do you start? What is that process? A lot of people don't know what the process is. A lot of people don't know where to start. So on the panel, I have a reverend, I have a therapist, a licensed therapist, and an author who all have their own stories and are here to, talk to those people and give them some steps, some simple steps where they can start this healing process. And it's a safe space. A lot of times that's the part that we miss. We don't have that safe space. You want to go to the person at church, but you've been in church a long time. They gossip. Your business probably going to be on, third Sunday's program. So you don't want to tell these people, although you love them, but the truth in that is not a safe space.
Yes.
So part of that, this, event is creating a safe space where they don't feel like they need to hide, where they can pull up the curtain and say, this is me, and be vulnerable. And that's another thing, we aren't taught to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Being vulnerable, you gonna show some people the inside of that junk drawer. Is they gonna open it and be like, what's been happening up in here? Like, you got some stuff up in here that you ain't ever you put in here, you ain't looked at in 3 years. You forgot it was here.
Threw it in there.
Drawer.
Close the drawer.
It's being vulnerable in this safe space, to start your healing process. And I don't expect anybody to leave completely healed.
Mm-hmm.
I expect, at least, if, like I said, God, if I get one person who leaves and say, you know what, I got so much clarity, I know what to do. Because in your healing, when you learn to heal and you go through that process, you set free your mom, you set free your aunts, you set free your grandmother, because you're giving them, especially if they're still alive, you're giving them the permission, you're giving them the know-how to say, you know what, I can do this.
Yes.
And it's freeing and it's releasing. So they're coming to release at that event, and hopefully they leave filled back up with something more positive.
Great. So make sure you check out her page. We'll tell you again how to get in touch with her. So I have some people on here that says divorce. One young lady says healing from the loss of her daughter's father, and it was her fiance. So I'm just going to put you on the spot a little bit. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Okay.
And just something that you can kind of tell or put on the pathway to that person out there that says they're still hurt and they need healing from the divorce.
Okay, so I know quite a few people, and just my own family. Divorces. Now, I've not been divorced. So anytime I talk to anybody who is married or in a marriage that is in like a space, I definitely, I do pray first, because I don't want me to say something, especially if you've never been a part of that. I never want to say anything that's against what those vows were. But once you experience a divorce, it's really hard, but there are people around you. And I literally do not suppress, especially if you have kids, because a lot of times we forget that the kids are watching.
Mm-hmm.
You got people watching. You got some people watching, praying for you to fall after this divorce. Definitely believe that. But if you have anybody who's looking up to you, you might have another person who was divorced looking at you, trying to see how she going to get through this, because you're about to help her. That's why I say everything is for a reason. So when you go through that divorce and you go through that pain and you journaling, and you're going to ask God why, because in any situation that hurts, that just does not make sense to us in a human form, we ask God why. And I don't think it's anything wrong with asking God why. I think the problem is when we don't hear his answer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask why, and he gives it to you, even if he doesn't say anything for a minute, whatever the last thing it is that he told you to do, keep doing it. So what I mean by that, if, God said, hey, I need you to come and talk to me every morning, and you say, God, why? And he don't answer you, you need to still go to him every morning, because he's telling you, he's letting you know, going through this process, you're going to get to where I need you, but I need you to trust me. I haven't left you. I know where I have you going. I saw this already, because God know I end before I begin.
Right.
So he saw this already. But we have to sit and go through it. You got to go through it. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But eventually, as time go by, you're going to realize, okay, this was the reason for that. And it may not be the divorce. It could have been the reason for the marriage. What did you learn in that marriage? What was it that taught you about yourself? Because a lot of times in situations that we feel like somebody did to us, we X ourselves out. It's like they they did this to me. They hurt me. They did. Now, there are times, where it's literally all the other person's fault. But as an adult, sometimes we do, God is probably teaching us like, hey, in order for me to take you to where you've been asking me and where I know I'm taking you, I need you to be honest in this. Because like for me, I had to be honest and be like, okay, yeah, I got attitude. Okay, maybe a little bit.
Right.
Because I need to get rid of that attitude in order to go where I'm going. So that marriage was your lesson. That was your blessing. It taught you something about yourself. It taught you probably didn't know how to be a good wife because you didn't know, you didn't see it, you didn't have any examples. So going through that, you can look back and say, well, I should have did this more. I probably should have did that more. Okay, so let me go and talk to somebody who's been married. So when your husband come again, the one that God has set for you, you'll be set right. So instead of sitting in a space of let me blame, it's like let me sit in a space of let me learn, let me listen.
All right. So I hear you kind of saying that a lot of time healing can actually come from switching the gears, not really being the victim of something, but to actually be responsible of your own healing in a sense.
Yes.
Saying like, where did I contribute to this when that type of healing is necessary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I have someone here that says, how do you help others heal when they are denying their own pain?
You can't force healing on anybody. It's kind of like trying to make your kid eat broccoli. They got to grow to like broccoli. They got to get to a point and say, you know what, broccoli ain't that bad. So all you can do is just continue to be available to that person, especially if it's somebody who you care for.
Right.
Continue to be available to that person. And a lot of times people do listen to you and they pay attention to you more. So if you see somebody who needs healing, instead of telling them, hey, you need healing, you need to do this and you need to do that, show them. So I know, you need healing. I'm telling you, you need to go exercise. Where I go work out on Saturdays at the track. Just invite them one day. Hey, come with me. I don't got nobody to talk to. I just need somebody to talk to. It ain't gonna take a long time. It's gonna be like 30 minutes. Just bring your headphones and we're gonna talk, and then you laugh with them, and you will see that you're getting them out of a space that they've been in. And eventually they'll get to a point where they realize, you know what? She helping me.
Right.
But you literally can't force anything on anybody.
So let's get to the root of this. We've talked about healing. We've talked about your passion and how this kind of came upon you and how you've had an event and you're having this next event. How do we get to the root? Like, and what is a root? Like, I wrote it up there because that's exactly what you said. Now, I know, but I want my audience to kind of find out from your terminology. When we said, do you want to be healed? We're going to get to the root of things. What is a root? What are you speaking of?
The root is, where did it all begin? The beginning, the start of this growth.
Okay.
The very beginning. And a lot of times, like for me, there's a chunk of my memory that's just obsolete, like literally. So hopefully nothing happened in that chunk that I'm suppressing like super hard. But even if it is, I'm ready for it to come through, because it's literally people will be like, oh, so it's, the root is where's the beginning? Where did this start? Because a lot of times we think I'm constantly dating this one type of person because that's all I'm good for. That's all I can attract. When in actuality, 20 years ago, when you were 4, you saw your mama date this person over and over again.
Right.
And that got ingrained in you. And you realized that, not realize, you saw that as an example. And now you're saying to yourself, well, that's all I saw as an example. So now here it is 20 years later, I'm an adult and I'm dating this same person. So the root isn't, from you starting to date. That root came from your mom. That came from that example that you saw. And that's where their root is. A lot of times we are, you have, and I know it's painful. It's some people who, have parents who are on drugs or are on drugs. But imagine their parents, how those your parents felt when they were 17 and on drugs. But what happened what did they see? And why is it that you are so ingrained into smoking marijuana? It's not because everybody gonna give an excuse, especially when you're not ready for the truth. This is why you have to be honest. Because when you are honest, you can say, you know what, that you might be right. That is what this is. Because there's no way that you are, you smoking this much weed, like you just in it. But
Right.
you telling everybody, oh, I'm just having fun. I just need to relax, and it's helping me with X, Y, and Z. And that may be true, but I don't think you went to the doctor to get none of the, like, you didn't consult anybody. So what you're doing is you're falling into a pattern, this generational curse that's been on your family. And until you recognize that this is something that may be a gateway into something else, you're going to be the next person in line to do the same thing. So finding out what the root is, you got to go back past you.
Okay.
It goes further than you.
It goes further back. Can you give an example of just another root? I know you gave. So I know I sent you a video. I hate you didn't look at all of it. Like, duh.
You were supposed to say, girl, look at this before you come on.
Yes. But I did a teaching one time about the root.
Okay.
And we had a lot of ladies. It was a seminar where we had different labels all over the place. And it was like low self-esteem, teen pregnancy, divorce. It was pressure. Just, it was so many different labels that we wear all the time.
Yes.
And I had the ladies walk around and they had to write down everyone that actually is on themselves, so anything that you looked at them like, man, I can identify with that. I'm lonely. I'm depressed. I've been suicidal. Any label that they found, they had to write it down. And so when we got to the center, I told them to read all of it. And what God had showed me, he was like, all of these things actually came from a seed. And so as you call it a root, I call it a seed, that it came from a seed. And it was our job to kind of ask God where it came from. Because I was going to ask you that, like, how do you go back and find it? How do you? And I know the activity that we did, they just got quiet, and I had to just activate them and actually really say, you can hear from God. And all of us hear from God in different ways. Some people are still small voice. Some people like, just my eyes fell on that word. I knew it was this, or I just had a feeling, or some just told me. However that looks to all of the ladies in the seminar, they were able to actually get away and just find that root. Where did it come from?
Right.
And so with myself, all the labels that I had picked out, the one that stuck out to me was molestation.
Okay.
And so even though I put all of mine up on the board for them to see, and I took them down, but the one that stuck was the molestation. And what I saw was every one of the other labels stemmed to it. So I had low self-esteem. I had teen pregnancy. I had failure. I had self-worth. And God had me like go backwards and see that molestation showed me the unrealness of what real love is. And by me having that, it took me to teen pregnancy. And by me having a teen pregnancy, it took me to shame and feeling embarrassed. And then by me having shame and embarrassed, it took me to always trying to win and not have failure spirit. And then it took me to divorce. So just knowing how that one root can branch off into so many different things. So what is your experience with how do you identify that root and how do you really uproot the root? Like what are some of the things that you have seen or things that maybe you work with people or, doing your videos and your talk? How do you get back to the root? And what do you do once you find it?
I think that was I did that very similar to what you did, is kind of identifying where sometimes it does take somebody else to say it, because you when you get to a point where you suppressed it so long, you forget that it's a thing.
It's something.
And you can't I don't know anybody who you can say, oh, you got low self-esteem to, and they say, you know what, I do.
I sure do, girl. Thank you.
Around here just low self-esteeming it up. Like nobody's gonna agree to that. You can't tell somebody. So you have to present that environment that allows them to see themselves in a different way. So what you did was, because I'm sure it was a bunch of women there who put all that ain't me. I don't know none of this. But when they sit and they got quiet, they was like, wait, That is. Because even the most confident person, if you are holding something in, you suppress that you got low self-esteem in one area. And so many people, I try not to touch on molestation because it's so heartbreaking to me
Mm-hmm.
because just you doing something to somebody who doesn't have a voice,
Right.
or they have a voice that a lot of times ain't nobody listening to. Like we push kids like they don't have a voice to the
Right.
side. But that is a root cause. And sometimes because you just go through life and you have all of these things that you run into, the low self-esteem, the prone to failure, the embarrassment, these people telling me I'm no good, so now I believe I'm no good, type of thing. So how do you when I ask God, if it's something that I can't do myself, I need him to send somebody. But don't fight the help, y'all. Like, do not fight who God sent to help you.
Right.
Because a lot of times they come in the form that you did not expect.
Mm-hmm.
They gonna come to you. Sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had somebody come to you and you say, I don't like this lady. I don't like this lady. Why is she
Yes.
talking to me?
Right.
God, why is she talking to me? And God sent her. That's your help, because that lady who walking around mean has actually been through all what you've already been through. And they're coming to help you and in turn help themselves. But a lot of times we fight the help. So how do you identify? Sometimes you gotta take the help. Because a lot of times we're not being honest with ourselves. I'm not telling you that I failed.
Right.
Why would I shout that out? You're gonna embarrass me. Now I gotta be embarrassed too. And that's another thing. We put on this mask.
We
Women
do.
hold this mask. And man, we hold on to those masks like, I'm good. I'm good. And like that person asked, how do you get somebody to heal who haven't recognized? Maybe you can't fight them, but it's like you see them. Because for some odd reason, I can look at somebody and be like, she hurt. I've walked up to people like, give me a hug, and they break down. Like, cause I'm looking and I'm paying attention, and I'm like, or I randomly reach out. God drops names in my spirit and like reach out to this person and ask how they doing. And sometimes you need that because you don't know. And a lot of times you do feel alone.
Right.
You feel alone because you don't feel like anybody else has been through that. You don't feel like anybody else is going to understand your divorce. Your divorce different. So they not going to understand. Your rape was different. They not going to understand. But you don't know that they've been through that. They've been through the process of healing, and they can show you, they can give you the steps that they took. Now, you may not do step 1 through 5. You might do step 1 and 3 because that works for you.
Right.
But if I'm sent to help you, allow me, be open, pull that mask down. But you'll know, and I don't know, how many people are in the word and talking to God and getting close to him. But if your, spirit of discernment is, working like it should be, you know who you can talk to. You know who he sent. You're not gonna be out here just talking. That random lady. You have been on a bus and a random lady start talking to your situation, and you be like, I don't know this lady. How she know?
Right.
Did she read something on me? And that's like God sent that person in that moment to speak to something that you needed. Like you needed to hear that. And sometimes you are that person for somebody else.
Someone else, yes.
But that's that spirit of discernment. Like you gonna know if I can talk to this person. You get this feeling of peace that you can't describe. Like I can talk to this person and I know they're not gonna judge me. Because that's a lot of times we ain't talking because I feel like you don't judge me. Like, don't judge me. You ever start talking to somebody and the first thing they say, well, don't judge me.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, whoa, like, we just got here.
Yes.
Like, you already told me not to judge you. So it's like, when they're not going to judge you, when they are going to be the most honest with you, and who that person is that you're talking to is there for you.
Yes.
So,
great. So we covered a lot. I wanted you to give some ending steps. I always try to get out steps because I just think that that's so good, because conversation is conversation.
Right.
People go like, oh yeah, amen. I've been in church all my life and I said 100 amens and 100 yes. But to walk away with something tangible that they can walk away and start going, bam, bam, bam. I'm going to cut off this Facebook Live and I'm about to do this. So can you give like the top 3 things that if someone is watching this video, watching this podcast, and they actually say, I need to be healed, I need healing. I need to get to the root. I don't know. I'm just tired of being tired. What are the first three things that they can start with? Of course, people will come, God will send them, God will do whatever. But for them to cut off this video, what are the first three things that they can start this process to healing?
I say the first one is be honest with yourself. You got to step in your own truth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can stand in your truth for you but you.
So give me a little bit about be honest, because they're honest saying that I need help. Mm-hmm. So what is the honest piece? Because I'm honest going like, I need help.
That's a blanket statement to say I need help.
Okay,
God,
thank
I
you. Come
need
on,
help
tell me
with
more.
this. God, remove this from my spirit. Remove the pain from this divorce.
Right.
You got to be specific, because when you're general, you're just talking to God regular. But when you are specific, you got to write it. What, Habakkuk 2:2? Mm-hmm. You got to write the vision and make it plain.
Okay.
So God hears you in plain words.
Okay.
God, I'm honest with me. I am hurting because this happened to me when I was this age, and now in this time in my life, I cannot move forward to get to where you need me to be because I'm still holding on to something that happened 20 years ago.
Great. So be honest.
Yes.
Be specific. Let it all out like you're having a conversation. Be specific on where you are and where you want to be. Okay, yes. Good. That's one. Come on, give us
number
a two.
I'm always going to say, because you can't do anything without God. He is your strength where you are weak.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you think that you can do it on your own, you cannot do it on your own, and you won't be able to do it on your own. So you have to go to God in your own time, in your own peace. It's not for people it's not for show. Don't do this on Facebook. Don't get on Facebook and be praying to God. You don't have to pray out loud.
So do I have to go to church?
No, you don't got to go to church, because God is everywhere. God is in you. So you can literally in your bathroom when you're in the shower, mm-hmm. You ask God specific. Once again, God, I need you to help remove this from me. And God, give me the strength, because this is what we lack too. Give me the strength to follow your will. Because I can ask you, but a lot of times God tells us to go left when we want to go right. And because we're so used to going right, when he say go left, because it doesn't make sense to us in a human form, we tend to still go the way that we know. So you need to ask God that he needs to step in and give you that strength to follow his will and the faith to know that he has your back. Because a lot of times you feel lonely because you think God left you.
Okay. All right. So,
and I say the third thing is, whatever that form of release is for you. Like I said earlier, whether it's journaling, whether, somebody who you need to talk to, who you feel is somebody who is safe to talk to, if it's getting real with your health, if it's, sometimes things happen and depression lays upon people. And I know one of the things with depression is you start to not clean up. You got a messy house, but you've been asking for a new house. You mess that one up too. So you need to get real in that and take those steps that's going to free you, because you got to make room. You got to make room for everything that he's going to pour back in you. So you got to let those things go.
All right. Well, you heard it here on IntellectualRadio.com. Please tell them how to get in contact with you and give them again about your up and coming event. Tell them a little bit again.
Okay. So I'm the Angela Brand on Facebook and on Instagram. And the event is on Saturday, March 9th from 12 noon to 3 p.m. It is a brunch, so you'll be able to eat. The tickets are on sale at released, RELEASED 2019.eventbrite.com, or you can just go to Eventbrite and search release.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you have got some nuggets that you can start your healing process, because that is truly God's will for your life, to be healed, to be whole, and to have happiness and strength and joy. So we thank you again for tuning in to Hello Show with Kimberly, my voice, on IntellectualRadio.com. And we will see you next week. And I need to tell you this. Next week, we're having our guest back from last week, the couple. So make sure you tune in because they're going to have some dynamic questions, some Q&A. We're going to help some people out there that need some counseling with their relationship. So make sure you tune in. And we love you guys. Hopefully my music's coming in. I love it. Thank you.
Even if you cannot stay, even if you cannot stay.